trust me, I'm not a socialist. I'm a market guy. I like capitalism. I think markets are good. I think entrepreneurship is good. But we need to kind of paint this picture first, because I think I know this for certain, so many people in DC have no idea what I'm talking about when I bring this up to them. And secondly, a lot of people over 50 think this is a foreign concept, and they think, quite honestly, this is just the complaining of young people that don't want to work. So let me kind of paint this picture. It is harder than ever to own a home. We know this, but how much harder? Back when my parents had to go own a home, the price of a home—
How old are your parents?
They're early 70s, so late 60s, early 70s. So baby boomers.
Yep.
And great parents, by the way, phenomenal upbringing, great values. So back when they wanted to go buy a home, in their beginning income years, 1970s, 1980s, home prices were on average about 3 times the average income in America. They are now 7 times the average income in America. Rents have gone up inflation adjusted from about $900 a month to now about $1,500 a month.
Inflation adjusted.
Inflation adjusted. The age of a first-time home buyer in 2008 was 30 years old. It is now 38 years old. First-time home buyer. So when we have a picture of a first-time home buyer,
and that's scary.
You think of, kind of a toddler in one arm, a dog, you're trying to figure it out, 38 years old. So what is causing this? Well, number one, I don't want to get like too Ron Paul libertarian, but the Federal Reserve pumping in cheap money post-2008 has just been a catastrophe. We have spent too much money, borrowed too much money. We have deteriorated our currency, and the purchasing power every generation is getting weaker. So your dollar is actually going less and less as far as it has year over year. So then what is the consequence of this? So you have a generation that is renting a lot more than it's owning. So when you do not own something, why would you defend it? So you find then political radicalization start to seep in, because an entire generation is getting routinely cynical year over year as their net worth either stays at 0 or goes into negative. Now, my question for every Republican senator and congressman watching this, if you do not know these 4 letters, then you are not doing your job. BNPL. Do you know what that means?
No clue.
Buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later is how 60%, according to surveys, of Generation Z is paying for things month to month. They're not credit cards. So this is not regulated by credit bureaus. It's not regulated with credit checks. It's basically anything from Amazon to Instacart, groceries, clothing, furniture. You can finance anything. It's BNPL. It's run by 3 main companies, Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. And essentially, you're 21, 22 years old. You can split a pizza into 4 payments. Sounds great, right? This is the modern tech economy.
Buy a pizza on credit?
Yes.
It's happening now?
You can go to Instacart right now, and either through Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay. Those are the 3 big actors. These are non-credit regulated bureaus.
Shut those fuckers down tomorrow. No, I'm serious. I'm so offended.
By the way, 2 of them are foreign companies. Just so we're clear. One is a Swedish company and one is an Australian company. I did a deep dive into this.
You can buy a pizza on credit?
Yes, you can buy almost anything on credit. Concert tickets. You can buy. So when I'm a big sports fan, I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan. It's just fun. I grew up in Chicago. When I go to buy tickets at Wrigley Field, they say, finance this over the next 3 years using Klarna.
Actually?
Yes. Concert tickets, Taylor Swift tickets. So what you have is a workaround.
What's the collateral?
There's no credit score, so it's just you. It's like your Social Security. They're collateralizing you. So it's very high risk for the quote unquote lender. But they have the late fees and the penalties make these companies eventually whole because they know they got you. And again, this is not regulated by traditional credit bureaus. So the federal government has not really waded in on this yet. And again, you could. I'm just like your younger folks can affirm everything I'm saying. Right? Am I correct? I'm not making any of this up. It's BNPL. So when I sit down with a Republican senator,
I never think of myself as out of it or not in touch or whatever. I flatter myself that I've got my thumb on the pulse of the country. I am shocked. I've heard people refer to this. I didn't realize you can buy a pizza on credit. Someone needs to.
But here's the kicker. And your groceries. The belief is that Gen Z is doing this to live above their means. Most are actually doing this to meet their means.
So that's the definition of predatory.
Right. And so again, this is not structurally healthy debt. So there's an argument for debt if you have a mortgage, because the whole system is kind of rigged towards mortgages.
Of course it is.
You could deduct the interest, the asset price goes up.
It's hard to get off the mortgage addiction. I did it, but there's
an argument for it.
You take your lumps if you don't have a mortgage.
And I think there's an argument that's actually an okay and
you could
reconcilable type of debt.
I know smart people have mortgages.
If you are in investment banking and you have student loan debt and that student loan certificate, that credential got you the investment bank, okay, you bet on yourself. Maybe that's justifiable. Again, I'm very anti-college, as you know. There's really no place where you can make an argument that financing your Whole Foods order is good for you.
But to do that to young people who really, I'm 56 and I'm still terrible with money. It's hard. And I don't think I'm not lazy and I don't think I'm profligate, but I also think I'm easily fooled because I'm distracted. And if I was 21, imagine how much more unsophisticated I would be and how much more vulnerable to predatory behavior like that. And everything is so easy because everything is digital now. That's an awful thing to do to young people.
And it creates a subterranean debt market that a lot of these young people think this is how you pay for stuff. They haven't been educated else otherwise. Like, I'll just, pay for that meal in 5 installments.
What are the interest rates like?
They can get very high. I don't want to speak out of turn, but they can get to be double digits, right? And so that's really where they get you is the late fees.
This is bonkers.
And so it's not regulated by traditional APR. So it's a gray area. And I think people are finally waking up. So, hey, Republicans.
Can you tell me the name of the three companies again?
So it's Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay.
Afterpay, which is the American one.
I believe so, yeah. So one of them was bought by Box and is operated by Square, which I believe is Klarna. I don't want to speak out of turn here. One of them was, it's still Australian run, but it's run by Box. It might be Afterpay. Someone can fact check me on this. But those are the three big actors. And they've kind of just gone below the surface. So we create all this economic anxiety by pumping the system with cheap money. Everything gets more expensive. Meanwhile, we have millions of young people that are financing their Coachella tickets, but it's not through credit cards. Because in credit cards, we have a very regimented, regulated system. I think the credit cards are a disaster and we need to kind of figure that out. But this is a totally different thing. And so what they've done is they've tried to create a loophole, and federal regulators are slow, as they typically are. And they're like, oh no, this is not credit cards. This is something else. This is like a repayment thing. It's like buy now, pay later. And it's the opposite of what built the West. What built the West is work now, pay after. So you're going to pay, meaning we will enjoy things later. That's what built the West. This is like enjoy things now and pay for it later. It is you
know what I don't like about conservatives, and I am one, is that it would never occur to some of them that there are two sides to the story. It's like immediately, they blame the people who are, buying Coachella tickets on credit, which I get. You shouldn't buy Coachella tickets on credit or your pizza or your Whole Foods order. I totally agree with that. That's stupid. But it doesn't occur to them that there's another side, that the people loaning the money are taking advantage of the dumb people borrowing the money. They both are culpable. And by the way, I think the people with more power and more wisdom are probably more culpable, act morally, than the people who are. In other words, are we matter at the drug user or the drug dealer? Well, typically the dealer, but conservatives look at all economic arrangements and they never blame the dealer. And I don't know what that is. How about we'll blame everybody? It's bad.
I think the reason, and it's a tick within the conservative movement, is that all of a sudden we're Marxists if we do that. And I think that I'm not saying, I don't believe that.
No, but you're absolutely right. I think I'm a racist if I don't like mass immigration. Well, I don't like mass immigration, but I'm not a racist. I don't like this, and I'm not a Marxist. Exactly. It's just name calling to stop you from raising the question.
It's thought terminating cliches. Is what it is. So good. Right? It's stop thinking it, because we're going to terminate your thought by calling you a Marxist or whatever. And do I think this should be illegal? I don't know. Probably. I need to learn more about it. All I'm saying is I am here as a messenger of the next generation. I'm telling you, this is bad. This generation can't own anything. They owe so much more money than generations prior. This is the most indebted generation in history. And I double checked that. Gen Z owes the most money in any history, any generation in history. So we wonder why then all of a sudden, hey, you want to go buy a home now at the age of 38, your credit score is destroyed. Your spending habits are terrible. You don't want to save and you don't think you should save. And you know what I hear from some of them is they say, well, why should I save when what I saw around me is that you need to get into this economy and spend because the savers got wrecked in 2008. Again, that's an oversimplification, but there is economic nihilism that is set in to a lot of this next generation where they're not participating in any of the upside right now, any of the upside of the last 5 years. In fact, they're only seeing the downside. They're seeing their apartments get smaller, their rents go up, their groceries get more expensive. Now, mind you, I think President Trump is, again, he's uniquely positioned to solve this. I think that his one big beautiful bill is going to help, and I think growth will help this and lowering interest rates. But let me just say though, why do I say it's a race against the clock? And here's why it should concern conservatives. Because when I'm at dinner parties raising money, some of our donors are a little indifferent about this. They'll have kind of like a, hey, pull yourself up by the bootstraps attitude. That's hard to shake. I don't have that attitude. I actually have a lot more compassion for the 23-year-old that is working a double shift and can't afford anything. But even if you don't care about them, you're not going to like the politics that comes next.
But how do we wind up on the side of the money lenders? I mean, at no other time in history is that been considered a virtuous business at all. I know a million people in that business, finance we call it, but I don't understand why they became immune from criticism. And there are places where, I borrowed a lot of money in my life and I'm grateful for it and all that. But I don't think it's virtuous. And I don't think we should say that it's virtuous. And I don't think the people who do it should be above criticism. I don't know, why is the right participating in basically a cover-up of a crime against people?
Or even from my perspective, why is the right so blind to the suffering of the young people that just gave you a Senate majority?
Oh, fair. Good question.
That just put you in charge of all your committees. Young people, thank you. They should be saying, thank you, younger voters. You voted Republican in overwhelming numbers. That's one of the reasons, again, I like Dave McCormick a ton, so I'm not throwing him into this, but younger voters helped put Dave McCormick as a U.S. Senator. And I think he gets this more so than most. Donald Trump built this movement of younger voters that galvanized the nation. Again, this is the untold story of the 2024 election, is how Donald Trump won the youth vote in so many parts of the country. Okay, so what are they experiencing? They own nothing. They're renting constantly. And they're involved in this scam of a credit-based economy. Everything is based on credit. And so then what it does is it deteriorates your capacity to have equity. And so again, I'm not here to propose a solution of all these different policy requirements. All I'm saying is, how about some national attention for this?
There's going to be
we have a conversation about it?
There's going to be a policy solution imposed on the rest of us, which is just stealing your stuff.
Well, that's the thing. So that's this is where the continuum, whatever you want to call it, the spectrum, whatever DC term, we're here in kind of, again, I am a market guy. I like private property.
I agree.
I like trading. I like when I meet someone good at their craft and they're a carpenter or they're a small business owner. I actually want to save markets. And if we don't do something about this, you're going to get a Venezuelan-style youth-led revolt.
Exactly right.
And I am not exaggerating, because